men's 200 medley relay will also be in this event. We have combined them. Starting off with a backstroke leg, we have Blake Medeiros. And for the women's, we have Kinsey Welch.
So both of the medleys are going to be going on at the same time because it is only Emory and Henry's.
This is the finish? You gotta let me know that it's gonna be the finish next time so I can get a rough shot.
Is going to start at 2:22.
Okay.
So that will be
I'm still hot?
2 events there for the men's. Meter freestyle, which is going to feature 3 different Emory and Henry swimmers and 1 Greensboro swimmer. So this will be the first actual point event of the afternoon. And so let's take a look at who's going to be in this race. Up first for the Emory and Henry women is going to be Kinsey Welch in lane number 2. For Greensboro in lane number 3 is going to be Tess Purdue. And in lane number 4 is going to be Leah Davis of Emory and Henry College. And in lane number 5 is going to be Kate Prager. So that's the lineup here for the 200-meter freestyle event. We're still a few minutes away right now, as it looks like we might be having some technical issues over here on the scoring side of things. So it'll be just a moment right here. But Braxton, talk a little bit about, one thing that you can relate to is when we're in the middle of the season, getting ready for conference tournaments, where's your thought process when you're in an event that's leading up to something like that?
In an event like this, especially for they could possibly swim in an event like this. Or somebody like
missed them all. We gotta be quick on that. It's all good.
A lady.
well. You have to kind of pick it up a little bit right now. You can actually just see her kind of pick up the cadence on those strokes, picking a little bit faster. Something we're seeing over there. Leah Davis, even Kate Kroger over there on lane number 5 is doing the same thing. So it looks like it's going to be Kinsey Wells with about 15 meters left in this swim where she is going to get back to the finish.
Okay, get off of me.
1, 2, 3 again. Position she touches at 2:41.65. And in third place is going to be the other individual. That's going to be Kate Kroger. She touches 2:48.62. And that's going to leave one more swimmer in the pool.
The times that you're seeing up on the board right now, those are in short course meters. In college, we actually swim in short course yards.
All right, I think we fixed a little bit of an audio problem there, and I think we are good to go. And we are back just in time, Braxton, to catch event number 6, which is going to be the men's 200-meter freestyle. It's going to feature 2 Emory Henry swimmers here again. It's going to be Neil Fredrickson and Blake Medeiros.
I'm expecting to see a really, really fast time out of both of these swimmers. Both of these guys will likely be swimming similar events at ODAX to this one, 200s, 100s, 500s. You're expecting to see a lot of power come out of Blake in this first 100 and a lot of power come out of Neil in that last 100.
Well, we are off and about to complete our first 25 meters here of the 200-meter freestyle. Again, only 2 swimmers in the pool right now, both from Emory Henry. In lane number 3 is going to be Neil Fredrickson. In lane number 4, Blake Medeiros. Blake Medeiros with the only seed time here, a 2:24.34. And so opportunity right here for Medeiros to see if he can race that time a little bit as he completes his first 50 of this 200-meter freestyle. He's got about a 2-length lead over his teammate Neil Fredrickson right now.
Again, sort of what I was saying back whenever we were talking about the women's race, you're expecting to see a lot of power come off these turns. In any sort of event that's plus 100, you're going to see a lot of people take a lot of distance on those turns and try to stay under the water just a little bit, so that you can have that kind of a rest period in between each turn.
Reaching about the halfway point right now, it is going to be Emory Henry's Blake Medeiros touching first in lane number 4. Neil Fredrickson just going to be a few seconds behind him, a 36.05 on that lap for Medeiros, a 39.53 for Fredrickson. Coach Cody Skinner kind of giving the cue to kind of pick things up a little bit here as we are getting almost to the final bell lap. Blake Medeiros coming with about 15 meters to go, and then he'll have just one more down and back.
This right here is where you should see Neil start to really pick up that kick. Likely you're going to see Blake do about the same thing. He's a very leg-driven swimmer, so likely you're just going to see a lot of white water coming in behind him.
37.24 on that lap for Medeiros. Fredrickson about to touch for his point on this turn. A 41.14 for Fredrickson. And we are back to where Medeiros has got about 15 more meters to go, and this will be the completion of his swim for the 200-meter freestyle. Blake Medeiros coming in with about 5 meters to go, touches the wall, 2:22.57 for him. Neil Fredrickson about 12 more meters to go, and he will touch and finish second in this race. Fredrickson comes in at a 2:35.41, so a 2:22.57, faster than Blake's previous seed time, so that's a good sign heading towards ODAX.
Always, always. You know, and even a second cut today is a huge cut, because at ODAX you'll have on a tech suit, you'll have a shave, you'll have this drop taper going on, and all of that is done just to make us faster for one singular meet. And if you can shave time today, at ODAX you're going to shave a lot more time. Next up, we have the women's 50-meter freestyle. In lane 2, we have from Emory and Henry, Paige Woodworth. In lane 3, we have from Greensboro, Tess Purdue. And in lane 4 from Emory and Henry, we have Leah Mumpower.
I know this is an event that's close to your heart, the 50-meter, one of the most exciting races in swimming. Just one down and back to go with two swimmers from Emory and Henry and one from Greensboro in this race. We've seen times of 31:39 for Woodworth, 31:35 for Mumpower. So that tells you right there that we should be looking at a pretty good race between those two. No seat time for Tess Purdue from Greensboro, so we don't know what quite to expect, but we should see, we know, a good race from the Emory and Henry contingent.
Meter times are hard to come by in college swimming. Luckily, we have pretty much the only meter pool in our whole conference, but I'm expecting to see really, really fast times come out of these two. And the most important part of this race right here will be that wall. This wall is going to be the make or break for a lot of these best times.
They're about even going into it. They literally almost flipped and turned at the same time. So here on the home stretch of the 50-meter freestyle, Paige Woodworth in lane number 2, Leah Mumpower in lane number 4. Right now, slight lead to Mumpower, but Woodworth is closing close. It is going to be tight. They touch the wall. I think it's going to be Leah Mumpower in lane number 4. 32:13 for her, a 32:43 for Paige Woodworth. And so 1-2 again for Emory and Henry. The Greensboro swimmer comes in at 41:31 for Tess Purdue. So exactly what we thought would happen there, Braxton. A really close race.
And really a second ad in a 50 freestyle for, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out from ODAX is very good. You oftentimes aren't going to pass yourself up on the 50 just because it is such a difficult event. There's a lot of things that go into it, little teeny tiny things. And whenever you're doing this event, when you're shaved and you're in your fast skin, you're tapered up, that's when the best times happen in the 50.
I never leave my fast skin, buddy. I never leave my fast skin. I'll always carry your fast skin with you when you come to swim meets. So we've got a pool full of Greensboro swimmers here. One of the first times that we're going to see 3 Greensboro competitors and only 1 Emory and Henry competitor. So that's going to be the lineup here for the men's 50-meter freestyle race. It's going to be Ethan Wilson of Greensboro in lane 2. The lone Emory and Henry swimmer is going to be Ryan Spengler in lane number 3. Spencer George in lane 4, and Alan Compion of Greensboro in lane number 5. Swimmers are on their mark. They are into the pool, and the 50-meter freestyle for the men is underway.
This looks like it is going to be a very close race. Again, this wall is going to be more than likely the deciding factor in this race. It looks like we had lane number 4 turn first. He's taken out a little bit of a lead.
So Spencer George is looking like he's going to pick up this victory. He's got about a body length there, a really quick turn, but that race for second and third is going to be really close. Spengler, I think, is going to get him, though. Ryan Spengler of Emory and Henry gets second place with a 27.72. First place goes to Spencer George with a 25.90. So once again, Emory and Henry comes in second in that race. 28.69 was a seed time for Ryan Spengler. So that is a good time for him.
Absolutely. And just to sort of brag on the Greensboro swimmer in lane 4, Spencer George, a 25.9 in a meter pool is a quite impressive time for the 50 freestyle. I'm excited to see what he can do at ODAX. That is going to be a blistering swim for him.
Talk about blistering. I feel like that this meet so far has been pretty blistering in terms of just how quickly it's going by. Combining a few different events kind of helps that out. But we are already on to event number 9, which is going to feature 2 Emory and Henry swimmers. We are going to have Kat Swigert in lane number 3 and Emmy Humans in lane number 4. So it's going to be 2 Emory and Henry swimmers when we get this meet underway. And so far, really good results from Emory and Henry College. First places in all except one event. So the strong start that I'm sure Coach Skinner was hoping for. And we are in event number 9 of 22 on the afternoon.
The 200 IM, which is the event that's about to happen, is one of the more difficult events in swimming. And if I'm not mistaken, there may be a break.
Yeah, it looks like we're actually going to take a break at this moment. So we're going to pause here for just a moment. You are listening to Emory and Henry Sports. We'll be back in just a few moments. And we are back here, still in the break from the Emory and Henry Aquatics Center. Brent Treesh along with Braxton Justice here as Emory and Henry College takes on Greensboro College in a dual meet. And Braxton, can you give us an update after the first 8 events?
So after the first break, we have a women's score of Emory and Henry 29 and Greensboro 5. And for the men's, we have Emory and Henry 17 and Greensboro 14.
So both Emory and Henry squads with a lead right now. Of course, the women with a little bit of a larger lead, but the men's team still leading Greensboro 17-14, as you just said. So we're in still pretty good shape right here after the first 8 events. But, of course, of those first 8 events, we only had 6, I believe, that were counting for points. So those first 2 relays that we saw, both were exhibitions. And so we'll be seeing more point scoring going on here in the second half of this. Will be one more break after this, Braxton. And, I'm just wondering from a student-athlete perspective, how much does it for some of these athletes start kind of creeping into their head that, hey, this is my last home swim meet of the season?
Admittedly, it starts to get real here in about halfway through the meet. You'll start feeling that, I got to start going these best times. I've got to start feeling fast. I got to start feeling right in the water. And it can get a little bit heavy on you. And whenever you're going to move towards ODAX and you're kind of getting into those last days, you start to get a little bit of those like butterflies in your stomach and a little bit worried. But at the end of the day, we have a whole season to prepare for one meet. And that one meet is coming up very soon.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I can't imagine, unlike a lot of different sports, everyone builds towards those tournaments, but you're really building those times, trying to really peak at the right moment. It's not like basketball where you're trying to score a certain amount of points right at the very last. But in swimming, you're really trying to get those times up and have some confidence. And that's kind of, guess what this meet is all about, is having confidence to know that you can get to those times you're trying to achieve for ODAX.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're just a few minutes away from getting this meet back underway. And we will be starting with the women's 200-meter IM, which is going to feature both Kat Swigert and Emmy Umans. We were talking about that last, home meet. The good news is for all the Emory and Henry fans out there is that we actually don't have any seniors that are going to be graduating that will not be coming back and competing next season.
Absolutely. Every single person that is on the team this year, plus a lot more recruits, because Cody has been working phenomenally on that.
I keep seeing the +1 committed graphics up on social media. If you're not following EHC Swim out there on all your various different social media outlets, make sure you do that. You can keep up with everything going on for the Emory and Henry swim team. And, of course, I always have to put a plug in for Go Wasp and Emory and Henry Athletics on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We try to give you some interesting content. I know we've got some really interesting videos that we are working on. I was trying to figure out, Braxton, we were doing a series called Mic'd Up, where we're actually miking up student athletes. We're working on that a little bit right now. Couldn't figure out how to do it for swimming.
I feel like that would be a more difficult one. Perhaps you could stick one underneath the block, get a little bit of that conversation between swimmers before they get in. However, there's really not much conversation when
I thought we could mic up Coach Skinner and get all the wisdom that comes from him during swimming, which is sometimes really funny to listen to the interactions that he has on the sidelines. A really positive person Cody is as a coach. So we are going to get back into the action though, as we are preparing here, as we said earlier, for event number 9, which is going to be the women's 200-meter IM. Remind folks out there what the IM stands for Braxton.
So the IM is the individual medley. It goes a 50 of butterfly, a 50 of backstroke, a 50 of breaststroke, and a 50 of freestyle. And normally the swimmers that are in an event like this have a very well-rounded swim career. Kat and Emmy both are quite talented at all 4 of the strokes. However, they both do have a specialty stroke. Kat's being breaststroke and Emmy's being freestyle. So really what you're going to see happen here is they kind of pull and push away from each other depending upon the stroke that they're doing. And by the end of it, most people end up very close to each other just because of how good they are in one stroke versus how much they sort of not lack, but are not in comparison to another one in the other stroke.
We are on to the backstroke. It is Emmy Umans right now with the lead over Kat Swigert and her teammate, as we are about halfway through this second leg of the 200-meter IM. Kat Swigert in lane number 3, Emmy Umans in lane number 4 for Emory and Henry. It's going to be Umans touching the wall on the far end first, as she is on the last half of the backstroke here. And it actually looks like Swigert picked a little bit up on that turn and is closing the gap a little bit, which she's going to need. because we know UMass is going to have a strong final leg. So it's these
Absolutely.
next leg and a half where Swigert going to have to try to pick up and probably surpass, I think, UMass if she wants to have a chance in that freestyle stroke.
Admittedly, the stroke that you should be watching Kat for is this one right here. She does have a very well-rounded backstroke and a decent butterfly, but the breaststroke is truly where Kat will start to pull away from practically any swimmer out there. Most times, IMers are very good at butterfly or freestyle, kind of like Emmy is, but Kat has her specialty in breaststroke.
And Swigert actually here in the breaststroke has taken over the lead. She will touch the end first here in the second half of the third leg. And so she is going to want to try to get as much of a lead as she can so that she can push it hard and try to hold on. So right now she has gone from being about a length down to being about a length up. And so she is going to be touching the wall for the final leg here in just a moment. And they are off right now, and Swigert is just going to have to grind it and push hard because this is a stroke that UMass is really, really good at.
In events like these, it is difficult to get up and race somebody that you have been swimming with for, almost a year now. We've been going through these motions every single day at 6 a.m. for the past year, and it is difficult to get up and sort of challenge your teammate to a race like this. But most of the time, you see it happen, and it's always really beneficial for everybody in the team.
Swigert looking really comfortable right now. One of her better legs of this right now, and she is actually going to pick up the victory. Good swim by Kat, 2:47.11. Emmy UMass touches 2:51.12, so a 2:47. A really, really good time right there from Kat Swigert and from Emmy UMass, to be honest with you.
Both impressive times. And again, these times are in short course meters, which complicates everything a little bit, but at the end of the day, both of those times blistering.
Well, good times right there by the two Emory and Henry swimmers, and we'll be getting ready to go to the next event, which is going to be the men's version of this event. It's going to be the 200-meter IM featuring one swimmer from Greensboro and one swimmer from Emory and Henry College. So this is event number 10, the men's 200-meter IM. For the men, for Emory and Henry, it's going to be Logan Smith. He'll be swimming in lane number 4. It'll be Spencer George in lane number 3 for Greensboro.
We did just see Spencer George win the 50 freestyle by almost 2 full body lengths. So I would be a little comfortable putting my money on that he's going to have a very good 50 freestyle leg of this race.
Yeah, and I think you have to know that, but I think ultimately it's a long race. There's four different disciplines here. So for Logan Smith, you can't get caught up knowing too much about one person's stroke. You just have to kind of do what you do and hope that your fastest time of the combined 4 is the one that works out. So we are into the water. We touch, and it looks like it's going to be Logan Smith with a slight lead here in this first leg of the butterfly.
Looks like he's got about a full body length on Spencer, and it's looking like Spencer's kind of at that middle point in that 50 freestyle, sort of let it kind of draw back into a little bit of a slower stroke.
We're into the backstroke leg here. Logan Smith still holding on, but maybe slightly closing right here by Spencer George of Greensboro, but pretty close speeds it looks like on this leg right now as Smith makes the turn here on the second half of the backstroke.
In any sort of stroke that is those long axis strokes, that's backstroke, that's freestyle, there's only one word, and it's height. And Spencer George has the height advantage in an event like this.
Well, it looks like, though, Logan holds his own right there, and he maintained that lead that he kind of had that entire 50 of the backstroke. And so now we are on to the third stroke here. Just going to be the breaststroke, of course, and it looks like George Spencer picking up a little bit right now. Maybe has closed that to about half the space he had before. So I have a feeling by the time they turn and come back towards us, it's going to be pretty close. Nice turn there, though, by Logan Smith. That is going to help him out as he probably picked up maybe a couple of feet there.
Absolutely.
But here comes George Spencer. Looks like he is just about, I'd say a meter or so behind and is closing pretty quickly. I have a feeling when we touch the wall, we're going to be about dead even for the fourth and final leg here of the IM. And they touch almost identically. They are 46.18, 45.09 for both swimmers. They are about head on. And we're on to the final and last leg here. Logan Smith really pushing hard. We know that George Spencer has got Spencer George has a nice final leg here, but Logan really, really grinding. He's going to be just slightly behind at the turn.
So this right here, in a moment like this, if it's a 25 freestyle and they're so close like this, it's just going to come down to who wants it more.
Oh,
who wants it?
They both want it really close. It is going to be almost a dead heat coming in, and it's going to be touching first. Is going to be in lane number 3, Spencer George with a 2:22.89. In lane number 4, Logan Smith with a 2:28.98. That is close.
In a 200-yard event, 11/10 of a second is minuscule. That is an incredible race, probably one of the more exciting races we will see today.
We've had a couple of those, Braxton. Ever since you joined the booth, you're almost guaranteeing me one really, really tight race. So I appreciate that, sir.
Absolutely. Anything to add a little bit more excitement to it.
I love the spice. Well, let's move on to talk about our next event, which is going to be the 100-meter butterfly. It's going to feature Kate Prager in lane number 3 of Emory and Henry College and Leah Davis of Emory and Henry College. So 2 Emory and Henry Wasp swimmers going to be in the pool here as we wait for Logan Smith to finish his cool down to start the 100-meter butterfly. Both women from Emory and Henry, Prager and Davis, have seed times. A 1:17.47 for Prager, a 1:18.58 for Leah Davis.
Both of these swimmers are very talented when it comes to the butterfly. Kate usually specializes more in some of the distance, the 200 butterfly, the 1500, the 1000, and Leah has a quite broad spectrum of what she can swim. I'm really excited to see what these two can do in this 100 fly against each other.
Well, they are on the block. They get the order to take their marks, and they are into the water here for the 100-meter butterfly. Event number 11 here for this dual meet featuring Emory and Henry College and Greensboro College. In the pool right now for Emory and Henry, lane number 3, Kate Prager, Leah Davis in lane number 4. And it will be Davis touching first here. It's going to be 2 trips down and back. Davis with about, I'd say, a 2-body length here lead on Prager.
You can see Leah, she's swimming with her head up for one stroke and head down for another. Because in a 100 butterfly, there's really not a point to get a breath every stroke. It's okay to sort of take a second and get a no breath. It's a little bit more efficient and faster to get that lack of a breath in that stroke. And Kate's doing something similar. She's going 1 up, and if I'm not mistaken, 2 down every once in a while. And it's working out for both of them. These are pretty good split times. I'm really excited to see what these guys end up with.
Well, we are on the last home stretch here, the final 25 of this 100-meter butterfly race. It is going to be Kate Prager and Leah Davis coming in, and it's going to be Davis picking up the victory here in the 100-meter butterfly. She touches 1:17.68, and Prager coming to the finish line about to touch the wall. She will touch in 1:26.24.
And again, that is a time cut for Leah Davis. She shaved just about a second off of her time for her seed time. And again, this is what you're kind of looking for whenever you get close to the end of the season. You're looking at ODAX. You're hoping to see some small time cuts here and there. And that right there is one for Leah, so we're likely to see her swimming that 100 butterfly at ODAX.
Well, it's always easy to remember after we'll watch the women's swimming event what the men will be swimming next. So we'll be seeing the men's version of the same distance and stroke. And it's going to feature 3 different swimmers for this race. It's going to be lanes 2, 3, and 4. Emory and Henry will be swimming in lanes 2, 3, and 4. It's going to be Blake Medeiros in lane number 4 for Emory and Henry. Ethan Wilson of Greensboro in lane number 3. And it's going to be Neil Fredrickson in lane number 2 for Emory and Henry.
Normally, I would say that Blake Medeiros is not really a butterflyer. He usually specializes in backstroke and a couple of mid-distance to distance events. So I have to wonder, why may Cody have put him into this 100 butterfly? And if I had to give you an answer, he might be swimming the 400 IM at ODAX.
A little bit of a possible preview there. That's why we keep you around, Braxton. Swimmers are on their mark. They're into the water. 2 Emory and Henry swimmers, 1 Greensboro College swimmer. Greensboro swimmer Ethan Wilson out to an early lead in this 100-meter butterfly race. Not much time to get too much far behind as we only have 2 back and forths of the length of the pool. getting ready to come upon almost the halfway mark of this race, and it is going to be Ethan Wilson of Greensboro in the lead right now. Blake Medeiros in second place. Fredrickson of Emory Henry in third. Halfway done, and it's currently a lead for Ethan Wilson of Greensboro College.
Butterfly is a very fluid stroke. It takes a lot of rhythm and a lot of practice to get this stroke down. And both of our swimmers, and I would put money that Ethan Wilson has also practiced a lot on just that rhythm, that hip movement. And it is clearly working out very well for all three of them, but especially Ethan Wilson.
Yeah, I was talking to one of our photographers about how to shoot these races, and I said, you really just have to find their rhythm when they come up, and they're very steady, and you can see that in Ethan Wilson. Good swim right there as he'll touch the wall first in 107.63. Looks like it's going to be Blake Medeiros of Emory Henry finishing second. He will touch the wall 115.91. Neil Fredrickson of Emory Henry third with 118.80.
Sadly, I am not a math major, but if I had to give you an estimate, a 107.63 is likely going to convert to somewhere just a little bit below 1 minute for that 100 fly, which is exactly what Ethan is probably looking for at a meet like this. Right up to Odax, waiting to see if he can get that right under that bust in a minute.
Well, that was a good time for Neil Fredrickson. His seed time there coming into that race was a 1:19, so 1:18.80 is a fast time for him in that race. So good job by, I believe, our freshman swimmer there, Braxton.
Yes. And again, it's moments like those whenever you just shave that little bit of time. That's what you're looking for in meets like this. Just to see what we can do right before ODAC, before that drop taper and that shave. Up next, we have the women's 100-meter freestyle. In lane 2, we have Paige Woodworth. In lane 3, we have Tessa Perdue from Greensboro. In lane 4, we have Leah Mumpower from Emory and Henry. And in lane 5, we have Emmy Humans from Emory and Henry.
So 3 of the 4 swimmers in the pool here are going to be from Emory and Henry College. As Braxton just said, we are preparing for the women's 100-meter freestyle. 2 seed times in this from Woodworth and Mumpower, a 1:10.69, the fastest seed time for Emory and Henry. That is from Leah Mumpower.
This should be a very good race. We saw Emmy Humans a couple meets ago swim this event. She was close to beating some kids at Roanoke in this event. This is one of her specialties.
Well,
Emmy Humans is in lane 5.
Into the water right now. Always tough to tell as they're going away from us how they are, but it looks like right now lanes number 4 and 5 are pretty close, about to touch, probably a little bit around the same time. If I have to guess, I'd say Humans touch just slightly ahead there. A good turn, though, as she actually stretches it out to about a body length. You talk a lot about that, Braxton. That turn means so much in these races, especially these races of the 100-meter length.
Absolutely. In any sort of sprint distance, everything comes down to a very minute details, and that turn is the best place for you to get that momentum back. You're always fastest when you come off that wall, so conserving that momentum, not breathing off the wall, everything comes into play off that wall right down there.
But it's going to be Emmy Humans in the lead. Leah Mumpower, it looks like she's in second place. But Humans with a really comfortable lead right now. The Emory Henry swimmer of Paige Woodworth is in third place right now.
Looks like it'll be a 1-2-3 for Emory.
So Humans touches first in 106.78. Second is going to be Leah Mumpower, and third is going to be Paige Woodworth. Woodworth with a time of 1:14.71. And then it's going to be Leah Mumpower with a time of 1:12.93. So about right around the seed times, kind of about what we would expect right there. So some pretty good swims right there. Braxton, for people that don't know, a.k.a. me, these seed times. So we see Emmy Humans wins that race, but doesn't have a seed time. Why?
So there's a good chance that she's never swam the 100-meter freestyle in this pool. Right, so like I said earlier, this is a meter pool, which is why these times, it's a 106, whereas in a yard pool, that'd be closer to about a 58. So you convert these times, and more than likely, we have her as a no time because she hasn't swam in a meter pool yet for this specific event.
Well, we will be moving on to event number 14, which is going to feature 2 Greensboro swimmers and 1 Emory and Henry swimmer. For Emory and Henry, it's going to be Ryan Spangler in the pool for the Wasps. For Greensboro, it's going to be Alan Compion and Spencer George.
This is one of Ryan's best events. He is a very shoulder-driven, leg-driven swimmer. He's a very good all-around freestyler. So I can really see him getting in and just blazing through this water, especially with somebody like Spencer George who could push him through these walls.
We are off and into the water. Really strong start right there from Ryan Spangler, as he has probably got just about a foot or so lead over Spencer George. We know this is a good stroke for Spencer George, so Ryan Spangler kind of getting his chance against George.
Looks like Spencer might have flipped first just by a little bit. It seems like he may be a quarter to a half a body length ahead of Spangler at this moment. Again, the walls are where this stroke is made, and nothing happens until the very end.
I'll tell you what, Spencer George has a really, really nice turn. But that was a good one from Ryan Spangler there, and he kind of kept up with George's his turn himself there. So he is about a half a body length away with about 30 more meters to go here in this 100-meter freestyle race.
Saying what's likely to happen is you'll see the white water pop up behind these swimmers. At this point, the 25 is just an all-out gasser. Whenever you're swimming this right here, you want to leave it all in the water, because whenever you're this close to each other.
That's going to be Spencer George picking up the victory. 101.06 for his time. Ryan Spangler with a 101.65 for Emory Henry in second place for that race.
0.6 of a second. At ODAX, that could be anywhere from first place to seventh place, right? And it's events like these that are going to show us where we're going to end up. And a 101.65 coming out of Ryan this close to ODAX, that is a very impressive time. I'm not entirely sure what that converts to, but it may be in the low 53s, high 52s, which is going to be a very impressive swim for him at ODAX coming up.
And it will be Alan Compion touching third for Greensboro College. And that will be the completion of the men's 100-meter freestyle event. That is event number 14 on the afternoon.
Swim is a weird sport in the sense that, these dual meets matter. It helps us get our sort of placement ready for what ODAX is going to look like. But at the end of the day, we do a year's worth of practice to swim 4 events at one meet.
So, Braxton, talk to me a little bit about just, the makeup of an event. I just looked through all the different events, and something I don't see, an 800. Why are we not seeing some of those longer distance races that we're used to seeing?
So, admittedly, in some meets like this one, right, you're kind of testing out where people should go. Kind of the reason why I was talking about how Kate was in the 200 when she's more of our distance swimmer is because she's already swam the 800, right? Now we're just going to see how much she could push it in that last 200. It's meets like this, whenever there's not the 800, they speed up a little bit. Even I feel like I've been talking this entire time, just nonstop. So meets like this, they're a little bit faster, and sort of relieving the 800 out of that leaves somebody like Kate or somebody like Blake the opportunity to swim something a little bit different, test out some different waters in some events.
Good insight there from Braxton Justice, joining us, normally a swimmer in these competitions, currently out. I'm glad to have him here in the booth. I'm Brent Treesh. We are at a dual meet here with Emory Henry College and Greensboro College, and we are currently on event number 15, which is going to be the women's 100-meter backstroke. 2 Emory Henry swimmers in this race. It's going to be Leah Davis in lane number 2, Tess Purdue, lane 3, Kinsey Welch in lane 4. 117.60 is a seed time for Kinsey Welch, so she should probably be the favorite in this race. She will be in lane number 4. And she is out to just a slight lead, but is really close to her teammate Leah Davis here in the first 25 of this 100-meter race.
If I could give you one word to describe the 100-meter backstroke and the 200-meter backstroke at that, underwaters. You'll see Kinsey, she stayed pretty much under the water for the first half of that first 25. And off this wall, you're more than likely going to see her stay underneath the water for 10, maybe 12 meters. And that's where most of the speed comes from in this event, is those underwaters, is that turn. You see she kicks through, and so does Leah. They're all just trying to stay underneath that water as fast and as much as possible, because that's where the speed comes from.
It is going to be Kinsey Welch in first place, Leah Davis in second, as we have just about one more length of the pool to go. This will be the last turn right here. and Welch will make the turn first, followed closely by Leah Davis. But it is getting a little tighter here as Kinsey Welch still is holding on to the lead, but Leah Davis is slowly creeping up. I don't know if she's going to have enough time to do it, but I think Kinsey Welch is going to hold on. But a nice second half of that swim by Leah Davis. Kinsey Welch coming to the wall, and she will touch in 1:20.34. Second place will go to Emory Henry also with a 1:21.75 for Leah Davis. Tess Purdue of Greensboro still in the water here with about 15 more meters to go in her swim.
You can see that Leah was very close to her seat time, and she's had a lot of very difficult events so far today. And being able to get that close to your seat time after doing the events that she has is very impressive. And I think that is going to show that during the ODAC meet, she's going to be able to really push through and come out with some great times at the end of it.
So there are your times right there. A good swim by both Emory and Henry swimmers as a 1-2 finish in the women's 100-meter backstroke event number 15. So that means we've got event number 16, the men's version of this race, coming up here in just a few moments. And we're only going to see two swimmers here, one from Emory and Henry and one from Greensboro College for this event. We're going to be featuring Ethan Wilson of Greensboro, and it's going to be Blake Medeiros of Emory and Henry for this event, the 100-meter backstroke. And it is really hard for me right now to get a little fever of the pace of this, Braxton. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like I see Medeiros in the water every other, 5 minutes.
Admittedly, in a dual meet like this, when everything is going so fast, you kind of feel that way, too, that you haven't been out of the water for any more than 3 minutes at a time. It can be a little daunting, especially this late into the meet. And whenever your specialty events are coming up, this is Blake's best event. I think he's already been in the water 3 times.
Well, a 1:07 flat is the seed time for Blake Medeiros if you're following along at home and want to see what that sort of is going to potentially look like for him. So we'll see how it goes for him as we are getting ready to start the 100-meter backstroke. We are into the water, so again, 2 down and backs in this race. Ethan Wilson of Greensboro in lane 3, Blake Medeiros of Emory and Henry in lane 4. It's going to be the Greensboro swimmer touching first. It's going to be Wilson with a slight lead over Medeiros.
You can see whenever Blake actually comes off of those walls, he's catching up quite a good bit to Ethan. It seems like Ethan may be a little bit more of a powerful swimmer, whereas Blake is going to have those really efficient, really powerful underwaters.
Well, it looked like right there a nice turn by Medeiros, and I think he made up a little bit of time. So we'll see if his more in the middle of the pool time can kind of catch up as we get closer to that turn. But a good-looking length here by Ethan Wilson as he is going to come for the home stretch, touching the wall first, is going to have about a 4-meter lead over Medeiros as they come to the final stretch here of the 100-meter backstroke. And it is going to be Ethan Wilson of Greensboro College touching the wall first in 1:10.49. Blake Medeiros of Emory and Henry coming in second place, 1:14.78. So there are your times for this event. Greensboro College picking up the first place position, Emory and Henry in second position in the men's 100-meter backstroke. I'm always trying to guess where the breaks are going to take place. Sometimes I get those, sometimes I forget to ask. Usually it seems to be a little bit later maybe than what we're seeing right now, but the women are on the blocks, so that would tell me that they are preparing to swim this next event. So we are going to assume that event number 17, which is going to be one of our longer races of the afternoon, the women's 400-meter freestyle, will be taking place. You got what you wanted. You finally get to see one of these nice long-distance events. I do enjoy the distance events. It gives me a chance to breathe, a chance to watch. And I'll be honest with you, I love the strategy that has to take place, that you don't have that sprint. You can come out a little bit more strategically and kind of chase people down. So we're going to have a pool full of Emory and Henry swimmers here, all 3 lanes full of Emory and Henry swimmers. It's going to be Emmy Umans in lane number 3, Kinsey Welch in lane number 4, and Kate Prager in lane number 5.
This is one of Kinsey's and one of Kate's specialty events. They do these quite well. However, Emmy, who is more or less our sprinter and I want to say a mid-distance swimmer, is going to give this event a shot. And I'm excited to see how fast she can go through this 400 because this is not an easy change to go from sprinting right into one of these distance events, especially whenever you're swimming somebody that is so experienced like Kinsey is. She's been swimming distance here for, well, admittedly, the whole time that I've been here.
It is 8 down and backs for those counting at home. And it looks like it's going to be Emmy Humans with a slight lead over Kinsey Welch here, but way, way early in this race. We won't be paying too much attention unless you kind of see one swimmer really start to jump out to a much, much larger lead. And then that's something to kind of keep in mind. We've talked about that in the past, Braxton, where really this early in the race, you just want to kind of find your comfort level, but you also want to make sure that you can see the faster swimmers kind of in your rear view mirror.
Absolutely. And admittedly, the strategy for the 400 can sort of differ. You know, Emmy right now, she may be thinking that if I can outswim Kinsey and make her chase me for the first 200 yards, I can push through that last 200. Whereas if Kinsey is more than likely thinking if I can keep pushing her up just a little bit faster, that she will die out and she will lose all of that juice that she has.
Yeah, it's a good mix, really, of being able to sprint, or you can really kind of take your time and try to push in at the end. But I'll tell you what, this is a sneaky race. This isn't the 800. Like, if you get behind too far, there may not be time for you to make it back up. So I think that we have to keep an eye on that and really understand that, you know, it's 8 lengths of the pool, so the race will go by faster than what you think if you're not just quite paying attention.
Yeah.
It's still going to be Emmy Humans in first place, Kinsey Welch in second. About 2 body lengths between the two swimmers. So right now, this is one of those situations where I really feel like Kinsey Welch just sort of has to kind of understand the distance. When we look at their 2 seed times, though, you know, Kinsey Welch has got a seed time of 5:08. Emmy Humans does not. So we don't quite know what to expect from Humans in this event. We know this is a really good stroke for her. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of times we can put up.
You could sort of see, I'm not sure if you guys can actually see it or not, but Matt, our assistant coach, just earlier was sort of giving the symbol to kick a little bit harder. It's tough to see who exactly he was talking to. I'd put money on it was everybody in the water.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you're at that point now where you're starting to see some of those numbers kind of flashing that kind of tell us that we're later in this race at this point. We're over halfway through on this race. So it is time to start, you know, if you've been conserving anything, it's time to really punch it a little bit right here. So we'll see if Humans can hold on to her lead, if Welch can close it at all. We'll see what the pace is on this lap right here. Welch touches first, 40-11 on that 25, assuming that 50, and a 40-45 for Welch. So a little bit faster right there. It's pretty comparable, but that shows you right now that Kinsey Welch is not closing the gap right now on Emmy Humans.
And really, in moments like this, that's kind of what you're looking for, just a speed up in time. So if, you know, somebody starts passing somebody just a little bit more on those split times, you may see them come back. But in a race like this, just a 400, it's got to be a pretty big gap in the splits for you to actually see some distance start taking place. Tenths really won't do it in the 400.
A lot of talent on the women's side, but Emmy Humans has been really impressive this season. Braxton has
Yeah.
really kind of jumped in and really has seen some success and some really good times.
She has been a vital part of our team this year, and her coming in as a freshman this year, I cannot wait to see what she can do in the future for this team.
Well, it is Emmy Humans right now with the lead. Kinsey Welch in second. Also in the pool right now for Emory Henry is Kate Prager. Bell lap getting ready to take place for Humans. Under the water, and she has got 50 more meters to go. Just now touching the wall. 39.86 that time for Humans. A 40.15. So a little faster that time for Humans. About the same time for Kinsey. So some showing you a little bit right there that we'll see what Emmy puts down this time, but looks like she's really got a little bit more in the tank, and there's something there. And good even pacing by Kinsey Welch.
Absolutely.
Well, coming to the final 10 meters or so of this swim, it is going to be a victory for Emmy as she touches the wall at 5:12.35. It will be Kinsey Welch in second place as she touches the wall at 5:20.49.
One of the interesting things about this event is you actually don't swim the 400-meter freestyle at ODAX. You swim the 500-yard freestyle. So if I were to convert this time that she just swam into the actual event that you would be swimming at our final competition, it would be somewhere in the realms of 5:35, 5:45-ish. So the time actually goes up for this event, which is not very common for the meter strokes. But that is a very impressive swim from Emmy Humans and a very impressive swim from Kinsey Welch. I'd put money on we will likely see both of them in the 400 freestyle, or excuse me, the 500 freestyle at ODAX.
And Kate Prager touches in 5:59.98. So Emery Henry first, second, and third there in the women's 400-meter freestyle. Well, that means we've got the men's version of the same race getting ready to take place. And it is going to be two swimmers in the pool this time. Up first for Emory and Henry College is going to be Neil Fredrickson. He will be in lane number 3 for Emory and Henry is Neil Fredrickson, the freshman. And it'll be Logan Smith, the other swimmer in the pool for Emory and Henry. He will be in lane number 4. So Emory and Henry in lanes 3 and 4, the only swimmers here in the men's version of the 400-meter freestyle event. Waiting for the call to the block. And so it will be two swimmers, Neil Fredrickson, Logan Smith, both of Emory and Henry College in this men's 400-meter freestyle. So once again, 400-meter freestyle in the Emory and Henry pool equates to 8 down and backs. Somebody count for me.
Don't worry, we have swimmers at the edge of the pool holding our counting cards. We're just waiting for that nice big red brick on the end of it.
So we are into the pool, and it is going to be Logan Smith with a slight lead over his teammate, Neil Fredrickson.
So coming out of what would be the women's 100-meter backstroke, we actually have scores for just the men's side. For Greensboro, we have a score of 53, and for Emory and Henry, we have a score of 36. So currently, the men's team is a little bit down on points.
Still a few more events to go, so Emory and Henry is going to have a couple of strong finishes. How does it work scoring-wise with events like this where you have just two lone Emory and Henry swimmers?
So, admittedly, my specialty is not knowing the true scores of the events. If I'm not mistaken,
did you just say my specialty is not knowing the scoring?
One of my specialties is not knowing a lot of things. But if I'm not mistaken, you get 8 points for every single first place you get, and it goes down from there. I want to say by 2 digits each time. So second place would be worth 6, and so on and so forth in a 6-lane pool. And in an 8-lane pool, it's completely different. And I have never swam in an 8-lane pool in my life.
So you're no help to me right now.
No help with the 8-lane pool, but the 6-lane pool, if I'm not mistaken, we may get around 14 points for this single event.
I mean, I'm going to give you a pass because you've been extremely helpful in these broadcasts. But I will be honest with you, with swimming, that's the one thing I still can't get my arms around is at no time do I have any idea what the score is. It's like I guess there's a way I could calculate it, but it's just not something that's super easy to do on the fly. So we really rely on our sports information director, Joe Matthews, who does a great job always with all the different statistical things related to all of our sports here at Emory and Henry College. And then normally he brings me a number. We read that number, and we seem a little bit smarter for it. But we do know right now that men's race is trailing just a little bit, and we'll see if Emory and Henry can close the gap. It'll be like a surprise at the end to find out what the final score is.
I'm excited. It should be a really fun time. One of the weirdest scoring systems I've ever seen is from cross country.
Yes.
I ran cross country in high school, and that is a very weird system.
I'm going to believe that you just played sports where you didn't want to know what the score was. That's what I'm going to go with.
You might be right.
Well, right now we are looking at a swim right now taking place for the 400-meter freestyle for the men. Currently, it is Logan Smith, a 38.87 on that last 50, so a nice little swim right there for him. Also in the pool is Neil Fredrickson, who is about 25 meters down or so here in this race.
Neil comes off with a 45.73 split off of that 50. Logan is one of the, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, one of the only people that I know of that can realistically go from a very good 50 freestyle time to a very good mile time. Logan is one of the most diverse freestyle swimmers I have ever seen. You can see that in his stroke. It has so many different looks to it. Not only is he galloping this 400, but he can bury his head for a 50 and truly lengthen it out for that 1500. He is a very impressive freestyle swimmer.
He's got that grinder sort of look on his face. Like, he can just really just keep pushing through pain and really trying to get the most he can out of every swim. So one of those people you can tell is always going to be fighting. And we've seen that a little bit so far when he's had some of those close races that I think that just on drive alone, he was keeping it closer than probably what the times that would have told you if you would have just been going by the statistics.
Absolutely.
So Logan Smith, one of the transfers here for the Emory and Henry men's swimming team, is in the water also with the freshman Neil Fredrickson.
And Neil has had an excellent season. We have seen him go, I think, a best time practically every single meet. He has worked very hard in the pool, and it will pay dividends here at the very end of our season.
Still got a lot of time left in his Emory and Henry career, so every second he gets to spend in the water here is only going to make him better. Fredrickson touches the wall. Bell lap coming up here for Logan Smith. Touches on that lap in 38.06. Always impressive how you can see those speeds pick up a little bit, especially on the last 50 before the bell lap. So Logan Smith kicking it into high gear a little bit right now as he sees his teammate Ryan Spengler put down those bricks as you talk about and sees that he's got 25 more meters to go in this swim in the men's 400-meter freestyle. So neither swimmer has a seed time, so we'll be seeing the time here just in a few moments. Logan Smith will be picking up the victory as he touches in 5:04.27. And so we still have another 50 meters to go here for Neil Fredrickson of Emory and Henry College. So a nice little swim right there for Logan Smith as he picks up the first place again in a time of 5:04.27. A 44.34 in that last 50, by the way, for Neil Fredrickson.
Looks like he's going to flip right at the 5:30 mark for this last 25. And Neil always finishes very hard into his stroke, so this very likely will be his best 50 freestyle split through all of them, which is very difficult to do.
Good little kick right here by Neil Fredrickson. He touches the wall, 5:47.23 for second place. So Emory and Henry 1-2 in the men's 400-meter freestyle. I don't see any swimmers going to the mark, so I guess that means we're going to be heading here in a moment, I think, probably to our second break.
I think so.
So here in a few moments, we will get you an update on all of the different scores at where we stand, but we currently have just a few more events to go. We have the women's 100-meter breaststroke, the men's version of it, and then we will finish with a couple of freestyle relays, which will be exhibitions. So we actually only have two more point-counting events, one for the men and one for the women. So we'll see how much the scores can kind of flip here with just one event left to go, but we'll take a break. For Braxton Justice, this is Brent Treesh. We'll be back here in just a few moments. Okay, well, we are back here in the Aquatic Center at Emory and Henry College. Brent Treesh along with Braxton Justice for event number 19 of 22. And we are going to be the women's 100-meter breaststroke featuring 3 Emory and Henry swimmers. It is going to be Leah Mumpower in lane 4. It's going to be Kat Swigert in lane number 3. And it's going to be Paige Woodworth in lane number 2.
Just some score updates here. We have the women's team at Emory and Henry coming in with a score of 100, and the Greensboro team coming in with a score of 8. For the men's, we have a score of 49 for Emory and Henry, and for Greensboro, we have a score of 53.
And when you look at the next 2 races, the only ones that are going to have point values attached to them, Braxton, we only have Emory and Henry swimmers. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the point totals are, but I think I talked to Coach Skinner, and he says we will actually pick up the victory in the men's side as well, because Greensboro won't have any point scorer opportunities. So it looks like Emory and Henry is going to win both dual meets here with Greensboro. We'll get you final scores here at the end of the broadcast. But completing the first 50 here of the women's 100-meter breaststroke, and it is going to be Kat Swigert, it looks like, in the lead.
A split of 40.54 for Kat Swigert. That is a blistering 50 breaststroke time, especially in a meter pool, and a 44.44 for Leah Mumpower, and a 46.04 for Paige.
So it is Kat Swigert in lane number 3 for Emory and Henry with the lead as she is coming here to the last 20 meters of her swim with a nice size lead currently. And it'll be Leah Mumpower in lane number 4 in second place. Kat Swigert with about 5 meters to go, and she will touch the wall at 1:25.38. Second place is going to go to Leah Mumpower. She touches the wall 1:32.78, a 1:36.65 for Paige Woodworth.
All of these times are exactly what you're looking for. Just a few days out to ODAX, just a few weeks. Close to the seed times, close to each other. It's exactly what we're hoping for.
So one more event for the men in the point scoring, and then we'll have a couple of exhibition races to close out today's broadcast. So we're going to have the men's 100-meter breaststroke. And again, only 2 Emory and Henry swimmers, which means we'll be picking up some points there, and that's what's going to be helpful in picking up the victory here in this dual meet. In lane number 3, it's going to be Ryan Spengler, and in lane number 4, it's going to be Logan Smith.
So long as neither one of these guys jump the gun or mess up with a turn here, I'm pretty sure we will come out with this win.
Is that something they'll actually be really kind of conscious of, or is that something that's just so ingrained in them that they wouldn't do anything that would get them disqualified?
I hope both.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. All right, the men's 100-meter breaststroke about to begin. Swimmers take their marks. They're off. It's clean, and they're into the water. Underwater still. We'll see when they come out. Almost a dead heat.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Ryan came out just a little bit faster and a little bit ahead of Logan. Admittedly, Ryan is our resident breaststroker nowadays. He has sped up a lot in this 100 breast, and I think Logan has also been trying to sort of get good at this 100 breaststroke and sort of push Ryan a little bit and see how far they can get each other into this event.
Ryan Spengler's 1:21.33 is what he'll be shooting for. He's going to have a pretty dead heat right now with Logan Smith. They're going to be pretty close. It looks like it might be Smith that touches first. Yeah, 39.53, a 39.84. It is currently really, really close.
You can see that Logan's breaststroke is not as efficient or fast as Ryan's. However, his actual pull out, the part of the race that's done underneath the water, is a lot faster and a lot more powerful than Ryan's is, which is where Logan is gaining most of his distance at in this event.
Home stretch we come right now. It's going to be in lane number 4. Logan Smith with about a body length lead right now over his teammate Ryan Spengler.
You can see Logan really getting up and out of that water, and you can see Ryan sort of like stuck within the water. And really that's more than likely what really did it for Logan in this event.
They will touch the wall at 1:22.10 for Logan Smith. Ryan Spengler, 1:24.99 for second place. So that will be the end of the points version, but we do have one more event left for both the men and women, and it will only feature Emory and Henry teams. It'll be the women's 200-meter freestyle relay, and it'll be the men's version of the same race. And I think they're going to actually combine these two races into one, so we will only have one more event of note for you. I have to imagine, last home meet of the season, an exhibition. Girls want to beat the guys, right?
Oh, always.
I mean,
always. Girls want to beat the guys every meet. And after two of our guys just swam that 100 breast less than a minute ago, now is truly their time to strike.
Yeah, Logan Smith will actually be the first up for Emory Henry, followed by Ryan Spengler, the folks that were just in the water. There'll be Leah Mumpower for Emory Henry for the women's team. They are into the water, so it will be the 200-meter freestyle relay.
Logan really powering through with those legs. Long strokes, really short, choppy breaths. That's what you're looking for out of that 50 freestyle.
He just wants to be done. I mean, I know. He's just got to want to
yeah.
be done. So he knows his little final bit of his afternoon is going to finish here in a second as Ryan Spengler gets prepared to go into the water. He is in 28.95 for Logan Smith. Mumpower touches. Into the water is Kate Prager, a 33.85 on that first leg for the women's team. We do have some final scores to pass along to you for the men's team. Emory Henry does pick up the victory, 62-53, and on the women's side, also a victory, 116-8. So a nice way to finish out this season. So a nice, fun little swim here as Ryan Spengler gets ready to complete this second leg. Into the water is going to be Blake Medeiros, and Medeiros is into the water for leg number 3. Up next for the women is going to be Paige Woodworth. She stands on the block awaiting Kate Prager's arrival. She touches, and she is into the water. Medeiros touching at the far end of the pool.
About a 15-meter lead the men have over the women's team at this moment.
See if Paige Woodworth can close that at all, as standing on the block for the men is Neil Fredrickson, who will be swimming the anchor leg of this 200-meter freestyle relay. Medeiros will touch. Fredrickson's into the water, and the final leg is underway. Paige Woodworth getting ready to come to the final block, and it'll be Kat Swigert awaiting and swimming the anchor leg for Emory Henry, and she is into the water. Right now, Fredrickson with about a 20-meter lead or so. The men's relay team with the lead right now over the Emory Henry relay team. Neil Fredrickson in the water, Kat Swigert for the women. Neil Fredrickson coming with about 5 meters to go. He will touch the wall, 2:06.03 to round out the afternoon for the men. Kat Swigert with about 6 meters to go on her swim. She will come to the finish, and she will close out the race with a 2:16.67 time for the women. So that is the end of today's dual meet of Emory and Henry College versus Greensboro College. Men's team once again picks up the victory, 62-53. The women's team picks it up 116-8. About how long do they really start thinking about ODAX at this point? A couple of weeks away. What's the process from now to ODAX in terms of practice and sort of their own mind frame?
So the mind frame itself is going to be practicing hard, practicing properly, right? It's going to be a lot of perfection swimming at this point forward. The practices are going to start to look just a little bit different. You're going to see people start doing drop tapers, a lot more turns and start practices, really perfecting a lot of the minute details of a stroke. And this is admittedly when practices become a lot more fun because you're working on those really tiny things, those important details, ones that you can focus on more than just preparing your body to get ready to do this race. Now you're preparing more or less your mind to really see what's going on.
Well, I want to say thank you, especially to all those parents out there. When we always have some technical issues at the beginning, they're always great to relay those. Thank you all so much. We are so excited to be live streaming swimming. And even when crowds return next season, you're still going to see these streams because it's important whenever we can get in here to show these broadcasts, to spotlight our student athletes. We want to do that. So we're glad to be able to do some increased streaming of all of the Emory and Henry sports. Keep up with men's and women's swimming at GoWasp.com. Until next time, folks, I'm Brent Treese along with Braxton Justice, and we will see you later on.